Hi, let's talk about the singularity. My name's Patrick Kennedy. This is welcome to the channel. This is my second YouTube posting. I'm one of the greatest procrastinators in the world, and our first upload, which I put up 3 or 4 days ago, was a small miracle, really. But the reasons I won't go into now, we had a 2-hour window of opportunity after 3 or 4 years of procrastination, and it was a very rushed thing. So this second video is to address the mistakes, the most glaring ones anyway, that I feel need addressing straight away. So here we'll go. That's where we're going today. Now the first one, the 1 minute 20 point. I really need to, I think the best way to handle this is with the disclaimer. I made a quote, mentioned a quote by Moore himself. Now that's an unqualified statement. I have to put that out there. I'm not a scientist or a mathematician or an educator. I'm a lay person, a student of life, an armchair philosopher, if you will. So that's a disclaimer that needs to be put out there. I'm speaking as the layman, really trying to interpret the info that I find, and I find most of that on Google and YouTube, and reading stuff's very rare nowadays. So number 1, that's out there. Now number 2, the 1 minute 45 point. This is just a small issue, and I'm going to do a lot of these, I'm sure. But I started talking about the size being an issue with the Moore's Law principle. Now, I meant to say transistors. I hope I've got it right now. So I apologise for that. I'm sure I'll do a lot of that in the future as well. Moving on to number 3. Now, I started talking about, tried to go into more depth with that issue of this small size of the transistors. And I botched it. So just to try to clarify that a little bit and correct give you a better idea of where I'm at with my understanding of that, with the current situation. It seems that the energy required to cool the components is greater than the energy that the components are able to output. So it's a no-win situation. And that does seem to be supported by the math, and I have no argument with that. And I'll come back to that later. Let's move on to number 4. Just a couple of seconds later, I mentioned the word material when I was trying to explain this, I suppose one of the main areas where I differ with those people with the school of thought that Moore's Law is falling away and so on. And as I said, I'll come back to this later. The material sense, that was, it's not an incorrect word, but I'm speaking in terms of quantum science. These, all these corrections that I'm making here, they're all around that fact that these things are so small, we're getting down to the size where there are very few atoms in them. It's amazing what these guys have done. I'm not a scientist, but I'm lucky enough with computers to be able to find out so much about what they're doing. Material wasn't the right word. This is a word that's leading to where I want to go later with this, which is the quantum side of it, where the material aspect of well, any argument really loses its physical sense. It becomes a question of the issues that quantum science is dealing with. I have to come back to that one another stage. That's a big thing. Now, point 5. Now, this was big. It was 5 minute 45, and I was very adamant. Moore's law was not a failed principle. I said, I misspoke there, and from there it snowballed, and the rest of the video, there were so many mistakes that I just can't address them all. So what I'm going to do is to make it possible, is I'm going to address the first issue, the 5 minute 45 point, and then I'll try to put all the rest of those mistakes under one umbrella, and they fit nicely, except for one little point, and I'll finish there. Never fear, I'm drawing near, near the end, that is. So point 5, 5 minute 45 second, I said, once again, I was pretty adamant, a bit too adamant for my liking, that Moore's law was not a failed principle. Now, that doesn't really represent, once again, my true stand on that position. I don't think Moore's law a failed principle in Moore's law a failed theory in principle. I think the principle continues. I think all the maths that support what these guys are saying about the transistor becoming too small, I think it's all good math, and you have to take that into account. But as I mentioned the quantum computer. Now, I haven't had a chance to look at what they're doing with quantum computers for a while. I've actually, it's been so long, and I'm a bit absent-minded nowadays. Is it qubits that they add each time? But those things double every time that one of these layers is added. So I've just forgotten the name at the moment, sorry. So while Moore's law may be effective, and actually I've got no reason to believe these people that believe it's going to fall down, I don't believe their maths is incorrect. I think in terms of transistors, Moore's law may well fall down, but the principle of Moore's law that things go on with the quantum computer, I just see absolutely no reason why the principle of Moore's law that eventually we reach the singularity doesn't fit. So the rest, they're all under that one umbrella, and I've once again just beat up. I've just decided to deal with this as a disclaimer. As I said, not a trained person, not an educated person in any of these areas that I have such interest in. Just an interested person. So for all the rest of those mistakes, and there were many, I apologise. And the last little one was something that was just a bit different. I couldn't fit it under that umbrella, and that was kind of the tone of the thing. I made a mistake there. When I looked at it, it felt a little bit like some B-grade sci-fi movie called Head for the Hills. That's only half the story, folks. There's also possibility that many are putting forward. I was an avid reader of Isaac Asimov, and he was really ahead of his time with this stuff, and I was heavily influenced. I really loved his stuff. Only managed to read a little bit. In his vision for AI, it was this benign but benevolent benefactor in the background, just organising everything so that people could live in as close as possible to a utopian existence. Now, I think there's a big argument for that. So, anyway, that's where I'm at today, just trying to clear up a few things and make my position a little bit more clear. Those corrections had to be made. I'm really sorry about that, and I'll no doubt have to make corrections here. But thanks very much. If you've seen something here of interest, or as I said in my other video, heard something of interest, please share, like, show it to your friends. Do whatever it takes. I just want to get that message out there that there's a conversation. You know, I think AI, even if it's not here now, it's a mathematical inevitability. Yeah, let's start having a conversation. I'm here waiting. A public conversation would be great. Thanks very much. See you later.